38 special versus 9mm in snub nose revolvers. What I have today is our Winchester Silvertip ammunition. Our 38 special is a 110 grain Silvertip. Our 9mm is a 115 grain Silvertip. Both of these are standard pressure rounds, and I'm running them both through my 2-inch Taurus snub nose revolvers with steel frames, the Taurus 605 to test the 38 special, and the Taurus 905 to test the 9mm. Our rated velocity here with our 38 special, let's see if it's on the box, 945 feet per second. Our 9mm is rated at 1225 feet per second, so that's pretty powerful 9mm based on its ratings. So we're going to see what we get here. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time with these. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. We're just going to go into plain 10% clear ballistics gel to see what the best potential of those cartridges are. You know, a lot of people use denim and stuff like that in their tests, which is kind of the old standard FBI protocol, to see if the hollow point clogs and, you know, if the design is good enough to kick out that denim and still expand. So we're going to test it without the denim, see what the best potential is. Then we're going to do more of our real world simulation, where I am going to put 4 layers of denim here on this first 3-inch piece that represents our pectoral muscle. After that, I am going to use a 1/4-inch medium density fiberboard right here to represent hitting ribs or sternum. That'll be more of our real world simulation. We'll see how they compare between, you know, best potential and real world. And then I am going to shoot at the steel target to see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these, you know, what kind of control I can get with follow-up shots and all that. So let's get started with this test. All right, our 38 special is rated at 945 feet per second, and the 9mm rated at 1225. I believe those are both through 4-inch barrels. So let's see how close I get to 945 feet per second in the snub nose revolver with this 38 special. .852. All right, so I think I have to put on the shades on that chronograph because something's up with it not reading today. This is the thing that happens a lot. A lot of times I come out here, it's super sunny. Other times I come out when it's real dark. And because of my camera editing, it pretty much looks the same to you guys, but there's a huge difference there. So most of the time when somebody recommends something, you need to do this, you need to do that, 95% of the time they're wrong. But in this case here, I'm gonna have to put on the shades to try to get some reads. All right, I'm gonna keep trying here, see if I get any reads. 908, 898, 895, 905. And it's also another thing is I have to shoot a little bit lower on those sunny days, a little bit closer to the sensors. So it is pretty irritating when people say stuff and they don't know what they're talking about. But with the 9mm here, I'm going to test for bullet creep, because this is one thing that is a phenomenon with 9mm revolvers. It doesn't happen in semi-automatic pistols, but you get some bullet creep out from the cartridge potentially under recoil. It doesn't happen in a semi-automatic because the front of your bullet is touching the front of the magazine, so it's all contained. Any recoil coming back, you know, it's not pulling the case away because it's hitting the back of the magazine, and this magazine is on the front too, so it's not going to come out. But in a revolver, you don't have a magazine on the front of that bullet. All that inertia coming back can cause the bullet to creep out. So it is something we need to check with every time we test a round of 9mm ammo. Make sure that the crimp they have on there is enough to hold the bullet in. So to do that, we're putting black marker around that case mouth and around the base of that bullet, and we'll see if there's any creep out whatsoever on that last round. So 9mm, let's see what we get with this. 1090, 1094. I'm going to gradually take a look at these. No creep whatsoever, so that's good on those two. 1092, 1083. Wow, pleasantly surprised there's no creep whatsoever. I figured a cheap ammo like like this Silvertip 9mm would have creeped right out. No issues. 1097. So this is actually a very powerful round through a revolver. I'm pretty surprised at how well this is doing, considering this is one of the cheapest ammos out there. Now let's see what it does hitting our clear ballistics gel block, see how its terminal ballistics compare to the 38 Special. All right, our plain clear ballistics shot, just plain clear ballistics, no denim or anything like that to clog a hollow point, no rib simulation to slow down penetration. Let's see how our 38 Special does in the plain clear ballistics. All right, wow. Let's hit that with our 9mm. Go take a look. All right, wow, our 38 Special had very low penetration, as did our 9mm, but our 38 Special is just a lot lower than what we're used to seeing here. So I'm going to list these penetration numbers here, and they're going to look like they're a little bit off because of camera parallax. Our first 3 inches, 9mm on top, or 38 in the bottom. The 9mm definitely had more energy dump going in there. But, you know, the camera parallax will stretch this. It'll make it look like that track is further up from my finger this way than where it actually stops. But what we're looking at is 8 3/4 inches penetration for our 38 Special. Our 9mm did quite a bit better, but on the same token, we're only at 12 inches of penetration. So it is kind of low on the penetration side. I'd like to see a little bit more. But our Denim and our MDF will probably reshape that bullet and cause fragmentation, you know, more of what would happen if it hit ribs, and will probably penetrate a little bit more with both of these. So let's put on our Denim, put on our MDF, see how they compare that way. All right, more of our real world simulation shot here. 4 layers of Denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard. Let's see what we get here with our 38 Special. All right, now let's hit above that through MDF and Denim, 9mm. Go take a look. All right, that is some very interesting performance going on here. Completely different than what I thought I was going to see. I thought it would even out to be really good, but both of them seem to have had issues here. So what we can see here in the bottom here with our 38 Special is that Denim obviously completely clogged that hollow point, because, you know, no Denim and MDF, we see a lot of tearing. Denim here, we see just a straight line, which would indicate getting clogged with Denim, that hollow point clogged with Denim, and no expansion right away. Our 9mm does appear that there's probably expansion right away, and that's also confirmed through our medium density fiberboard here. What we got with the 38 in the bottom is just a punch hole through. With our 9mm, there shows some expansion, but it's more of a controlled expansion, not really big. So what we got going on with our 38 Special, we got no expansion, and we got a penetration of about 15 3/4. Now overall, that's not horrible performance, because we penetrated to an acceptable depth, but again, no expansion. I don't even see any like expansion starting with the 38, so that would not create much of a wound at all. With our 9mm, there is expanded hollow points, a hollow point, and I can see the damage from that right here. So it did pretty good, but it over penetrated, and we went a little bit too far, about 21.5 inches. Now clear ballistics is a little less dense than our organic gel, so the type of over penetration we got, you know, we might be talking 19 inches in our organic gel. So honestly, it's not what I would consider true over penetration. So 9mm, 12 inches in plain gel through our Denim and MDF, 21.5, and it looks like we got some expansion with both. So not bad overall, to be honest. Now when we look at our 38 Special, under penetration, extreme under penetration with our plain gel shot, and no expansion through our Denim and MDF. So I'm going to call it here, our 38 special is not very good, but our 9mm is acceptable. And I'm going to say it's acceptable because, you know, I've seen this ammo for, I believe I paid like $25 for a 50-round box of it, honestly, on one of those ammo sites where you can get law enforcement quantities. So really cheap ammo for how cheap that 9mm is. It did pretty well. Our 38 special though, that is also cheap ammo, but it's subpar. So let's take these out of the block. We'll take a close-up look at them. Then I'm going to shoot my steel, see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. All right, so here's a close-up look at these bullets. You know, looking at these are the ones with the plain gel. I was thinking that, you know, in order to get good expansion on this 38 here, it's probably really thin, weak petals. They are not thin, weak petals. Very sharp and tough. Pulling that out, I got a little bit of a cut there going on. It's pretty deep, actually. But yeah, we have fantastic expansion with our 38 special. Big old petals peeling back. Kind of a weird concave base. It's, you know, deeper than most. Our 9mm has a flat base. Very interesting. Again, very sharp petals. Those are like razor sharp petals that are going on. So our 9mm, our 38 here. Looking at our 9mm going through our medium density fiberboard, this, you know, brought that expansion down a lot. But it's significantly smaller than that 9mm. So even though these are tough petals, they're busting off pieces, and pieces of the lead is coming off. It looks like the petals are intact and they bent back, but the lead that was supporting, or the copper that was supporting those lead petals coming out, the lead busted off. I see a lot of pieces of busted up lead. So interesting that our 9mm did that, but I would still say it's pretty acceptable. I would like to see a little bit more expansion, because then it wouldn't have over penetrated so much. Our 38 special, this is absolutely terrible, because oftentimes with 38 you see a little bit of like it's trying to expand, and that'll actually do more damage than just a round nose bullet, because it flattens out a little bit and it's got some sharp points. Even if it doesn't expand, you know, it flattens, and that causes a lot of damage. With this here, it just rounded in more, so that's the exact opposite of what I want to see. You know, if we did not get hollow point expansion, you know, you could still do good performance, but this just rounded in, and that just did not do very well at all. That legitimately is like shooting a full metal jacket. A lot of people say that when you don't get good expansion, it's like shooting a full metal jacket. It's not exactly, but this it kind of is. So overall, our 38 special not so good through the snub nose, but our 9mm is pretty acceptable. So that's a close-up look at those. All right, 12 yards from the target. I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I normally do. Normally I like to pull up and just get a quick front sight picture and just pop them off as fast as I can to see what happens. But I've had so many comments recently of people saying that when they shoot from 12 yards, which seems kind of odd that they would list that specifically, they group like this. And because I'm all over the steel, I'm a terrible shot. And I just find it funny that they're comparing their slow fire grouping to what I was doing. So just for fun, I want to see what happens if I slow fire group at that steel, and just kind of see if I can place them more accurately than what I normally do if I'm shooting here. So 12 yards, see how I can do with that 38 special here. All right, not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. 9mm, let's see if there's a difference here how these things shoot. All right, so the trigger on this is a lot stiffer, so those groups definitely opened up quite a bit. That being said, the steel actually moved quite a bit versus the 38 special. So, you know, this 9mm is not too bad. Let me back it up. I only have a few rounds left. Let me back it up and I'll shoot from a little more distance for fun and see if I can hit the target. All right, so I decided just to come back to my 40-yard marker here, kind of our dick and drill distance. I'm not going to do the dick and drill, but I am just going to shoot from 40 yards just to kind of see, you know, how these things shoot for me. See if I can hit the target with these rounds and how they do for me. So 38 special. Let's see how this stuff does from a little distance. Alright, so from 40 yards, I say that's pretty acceptable. That groups pretty well for me from 40 yards. So our 9mm, this might change up a little bit because, you know, a 9mm and a revolver might be a little bit challenging. Sometimes rounds want to shoot a little bit high out of this gun for some reason. So let me go single action with the shot just so I can get a light trigger press and see where this goes. One more time. Alright, so those two are shooting just a little bit high for me. Got a few more rounds in here. One more. So I'm aiming at the group with the rest of them. I had a few extra rounds of these 9mm because I did take these out of a 50 round box and put them in a 20 round just to bring 20 out here because I got another test planned for the other 30 rounds. But let me do some double action here. I am going to have to aim just a little bit low because of how they're shooting for me. So I'm going to aim probably 3 inches from the base of that target at the, you know, bottom, 3 inches from the bottom. So see if that does it for me. I meant to do that. No, I didn't. This was shot pretty high. So overall, you know, we're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing with a lot of rounds in this. I don't think it's necessarily just this Taurus revolver. I do think there is a little bit of something going on where ammo does want to shoot high out of revolvers like this because, you know, shooting out of my Smith & Wesson Governor 45 ACP, I saw kind of the same thing. It's like moving through a little bit extra cylinder throw. I don't know what about that's doing it, but I think somehow that's doing it where it's making the rounds impact kind of high. It could also be from there's more power in a 9mm versus a 38, so there's more recoil, there may be more blast coming out the cylinder gap, and the reduction in velocity might cause us to recoil a little bit before the bullets leave. And because there's such a long travel here from through the cylinder, maybe something like that's causing that thing to kick up and just, you know, make my rounds impact higher than what I would expect them to be. So looking at this, you know, one thing I can take away from here is that the 38 is very accurate for me anyways. Our 9mm, a little less accurate, but a lot more powerful. So what we're seeing here is that as far as the 38 special goes, I personally would not use this in a snub nose revolver. Now, I did save some rounds out of a 50 round box, so I think I'm going to run it through the 4-inch barrel I got, or the 3-inch barrel. You guys tell me what you'd rather see, 4-inch or 3-inch with that 38 special, and we'll see if it performs that way. But through a snub nose, it does look like, you know, this is the common thing I see a lot. A lot of times you got to go to a plus P, not always, but a lot of times you got to go to a plus P out of a snub nose revolver to get good performance out of 38 special. Now our 9mm doesn't need to go to a plus P because it's already a high pressure cartridge and it looks like it's doing pretty well. So between the two of these and snub nose revolvers, I would say our 9mm is the better option here because we did not get bullet creep. So that's a good thing. It's one of the cheapest ammos out there and it performed pretty good in our ballistics test. Now our 38 special, yeah, there's a lot to be desired there, at least through a snub nose revolver. So between the both of these here, I would say our 9mm did a little bit better, but you know, our 38 special is very shootable and it didn't over penetrate. So it's kind of one of those things, a hit with a 45 is better than a miss with a 22 kind of thing. But both are accurate enough at close range to do the job. So both pretty good, but I would say our 9mm a lot better. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.